The views and opinions in the following show do not necessarily reflect that of this station or its ownership.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk. I'm your host, Pat Gibbons. My co-host, Wally, Walter Adamczyk, is not here today. He's pursuing his re-election for the 29th Ward Committeeman, GOP Committeeman. Today we have a great guest on board, another GOP committee person, committee woman, Ms. Lynn Franco. Ms. Lynn Franco is the 11th... wait, hold on, let me check this. Yes, the 11th Ward GOP committee woman. Lynn, what do you hear? What do you say?
Excuse me, 8th Ward.
Oh, 8th Ward.
Oh,
8th Ward.
Yes.
We'll get it right.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Segvich is the 11th Ward.
Pat.
Good afternoon.
Okay, and thank you so much for inviting me, and I hope that I can shed some light on maybe some of the questions or misunderstandings that a lot of conservatives are having about the Chicago and Cook County GOP. So,
okay. Well, Ms. Franco, tell us a little bit about you. So you're the 8th Ward GOP committee woman. Is that correct? Elected?
Yes, that is correct. And I was first elected in 2016 of March.
Okay.
That was the same year that Donald Trump was elected president. And I won't community activist because I think that goes with the title. But yes, I am an American patriot. I am a Chicago citizen of many years. I have lived in other countries, lived and worked in other countries. I lived and worked in Germany, in Wiesbaden, Germany, for 28 years, and I worked as secretaries for international companies such as Price Waterhouse in Frankfurt.
Okay.
And I worked for an acquisition of Procter & Gamble known as Blindax, an oral care and shampoo company which is located in Germany, right next to Wiesbaden, and we were close to Frankfurt. And also, I police after my husband, my late husband, I another 3 years in Germany, and I was a contractor for the Armed Forces Exchange, American Armed Forces Exchange, and the is known as AAFES, AAFES, and I was during the Iraqi wars. I worked under two theaters, Enduring and Iraqi of Freedom. And I worked in Iraq and in Kuwait between the end of 2006 and the fall of 2007. Mm-hmm. Those were very dangerous times there because there was a full-out war there, but I worked as a contractor. I needed the money. Then after my time was up, I came back to live. I had to start all over again. I had already sent my son, who was entering his last year of high school, and that was one of the reasons that I came to Chicago. My son was going to attend his last year of high school at Mount Carmel. I've been working for the University of Chicago since February 2nd, 2008, and I managed to get involved in politics because I was contacted by Chris Cleveland.
Okay.
He's the former Chicago chair of the Chicago GOP in 2013. And I was asked if I would be interested in running for office. And so I met with them, with the Chicago GOP, and I, was oriented on the workings and the going-ons of the Chicago Republican Party. And I did attempt to run for state rep in the 33rd in the 33rd district, but I didn't make it. I needed more. Well, to make a long story short, the Chicago GOP really needs to take a hard, close look at getting good candidates to run for office. We have some good people in Chicago, amazing people. This city is a world-class city. In all of my travels, when people found out that I came from Chicago, they were impressed because it's a world-class city with everything. From banking, well, it was part of the industrial It was a product of the Industrial Revolution. And but as far as the politics go, well, we know how the Democrats operate. And that is, they operate dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And they've led our country. We're at the brink of destruction.
Right.
And when I say destruction, I mean this is not the America that our founding fathers or the recent soldiers and generals, the military, not the America that they fought for.
Mm-hmm.
And it is left, I really feel, to the Conservative Party to bring America back. But in order to do that, we need better leadership.
Right. Right. Do you feel that the Chicago GOP has currently strong leadership?
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. And I say this, I'm not trying to start a fight with anybody. I'm just stating a fact. The chairman of the Chicago GOP, Steve Boulton,
mm-hmm.
has not to really find good, solid, honest, intelligent, innovative prospects for public office. Not at all. In fact, in my opinion, it seems like he's more in touch with Democrat politicians.
Amen.
Than conservatives.
Yep, that's exactly what he's doing. The reason I got confused with 8th Ward and 11th Ward, you're in the 8th. Mr. Segvich, I'm sure you know him, in the 11th Ward. From what Mr. Segvich has told us, and this is in the first show, they did a kangaroo court in order to kick that man out, and he was elected to 4 terms. You're elected to now 2 terms. Is that correct, Lynn, for the 8th?
Yes, Patrick.
Okay, and I know Chris Cleveland. Chris Cleveland is a very good guy. Did Chris Cleveland just step down? What happened with Chris, the former Chicago GOP chair?
He didn't step down, but he didn't run again.
Okay.
For Cook County chair.
Okay. And a little more about. Go ahead, Lynn.
And I guess that may be disappointed in a lot of ways, because it can be disappointing when you're trying to the right type of candidates, mm-hmm. and get these rhinos come up, and right. like even on the south side or the southeast and the southwest, there's a very bad trend of different south side. I would just call it straight. Some black men and women who basically are Democrats, but someone told them it's easier to get a position as a committeeman as a Republican because there are so few black Republicans. And yes, there are few, but we want good, honest people. We want solid people. And the bylaws state right now that to run for office for a committeeman, you have to have voted in the last 2 primaries Republican. Mm-hmm. Those are just some of the bylaws. One is very important. And then when you have people who have not done this, then they should not be considered into the next 2 primaries. Right. To see if they will vote conservative.
And what's
interesting? And so we have these people, and we have some of these men and women, but mostly men, who will, who want to be involved with the Republican Party, mm-hmm. because they figure that there's a dearth in black Republicans, so they want money. And they're bold about it. They come right out and ask for it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And these kind of people should not even be considered.
Right. Is that the reason why the Chicago GOP reached out to Irving for mayor? They endorsed Irving?
You mean Richard Irving?
Yes.
Now, I was told that there was one of the very wealthy contributors to the GOP,
okay,
who assumed he spoke with the state chairman and some of the higher-ups, and they came up with the idea of choosing this man, Richard Irving, as a gubernatorial candidate for the primary.
Right, for governor.
Which
right,
he came in third.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, and also the Chicago GOP, they were backing Do you know or not, were they backing Paul Vallas for mayor? Because they were certainly assisting.
Well,
go ahead.
The thing is, that's kind of like that's a question, because conservatives are supposed to usually back conservatives. But seeing that in the aldermanic races and the mayoral races, they do not designate party on the ballot.
Right.
And so it's very easy for say the GOP chair to say, "Oh, this is nonpartisan." It is partisan,
of course,
because we need to have conservatives, good, strong, solid Republicans running for office, also for mayor. That one in over 60 years, I believe. And look at look at what we get. So that we definitely need a change as far as a leadership in the Conservative Party.
Sure, absolutely.
Based on this last major race for mayor.
Yeah, there was not much to pick from on the ballot. Definitely not no Republican, that's for sure. I mean, Paul Vallas just...
And that's sad, because, you have, as I said before, in a city like Chicago,
right,
with such a reputation and great businesses, which, by the way, so many even, but I guess that's the trend nowadays. We should be able to find some great men and women to run for mayor who are conservatives out there. But then at the same time, our citizens need to take a stand. And also, the good people, the solid people, if you know someone, and I'm the public, someone who is smart, who's intelligent, who's honest, who's really, really sharp, and who's conservative, encourage that person to run for mayor. Encourage these people to run for higher office. And just not let our wonderful get destroyed by these useless and these dangerous Democrats who have no idea about governing.
Right.
And don't have any interest. They only want power, and they want money.
Right.
Our school systems are in the toilet. This is awful that you have so many schools in the inner city where the teachers aren't even teaching reading, math, science. This is appalling. And then some of these same black educators, when the camera's in front of them, they will sit up and talk about it's the white man's fault, which I mean, is so insulting. And it's because you have a lot of African Americans who are in the Board of Education and in the teachers union. So this time, this is on us. The problems that the black community are experiencing is they are born of the terrible governing of these Democratic politicians, whom black people have been continuously voted in office.
Yeah, it's a horrible system, that's for sure. That being said, Lynn, we're going to break. We're going to break, folks, on the Pat and Wally Conservative Talk. Give us a call. Our number is 877-711-5611. Again, 877-711-5611. Thank you.
Your own podcast can be frustrating.
Test 1, 2.
Which is why I'm glad to be introducing the brand new multi-format network. We offer digital media, podcasting, and radio broadcasting professional standard production and syndication. Whether you're looking to bolster and polish your business presentations for a Zoom interview, host your podcast, or push your nationally syndicated radio broadcast to a satellite, we can facilitate your every need. So when you're ready to look, sound, and be professional, don't just try to do it yourself. Contact the professionals at the new multi-format network, the Multi-Format Network. From professional syndication to personal vindication, we've got your back. Shoot us an email, mfngeneralmanager@gmail.com. mfngeneralmanager@gmail.com.
Hello, radio listeners. Welcome to WCGO 1590 AM or 95.9 FM. We have a new conservative show on the airwaves, and it's called Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk. I'm your co-host, Pat Gibbons. That being said, I'm going to pass the mic on to my friend and co-host, Wally. Hey, Wally, what do you hear? What do you say?
Hey, how's everyone doing today? We're just going to talk about the future, about Chicago crime and the veterans in Chicago.
Tune in Mondays and Tuesdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Conservative Talk Radio with Pat and Wally. Should be a great show. We look forward to your engagement. We'll be talking about safety issues in the city of Chicago, how our veterans need help and assistance, better needed care. And also, too, very importantly, we are going to talk about the Chicago mayor that needs to be called out. I'm Pat.
I'm Wally.
And this is Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk. Tune in to Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk on Mondays and Tuesdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. starting June 5th.
It is estimated that 1.5 million people are arrested for DUI every year in the United States. In Illinois alone, over 30,000 motorists are arrested for DUI. Driving under the influence of alcohol, marijuana, or drugs is one of the most complex of traffic charges on the books. Most people do not understand the complexities of the standardized field sobriety tests, which are horizontal gaze nystagmus, the walk and turn, and the one-leg stand test. Due to improper testing procedures, many people are wrongfully charged with DUI. Whether you have been charged with a DUI or an attorney handling DUI cases, the book DUIs Decoded explains the proper procedures for standardized field sobriety testing, breathalyzer testing, and the penalties in Illinois for driving under the influence.
Real estate, be it residential or commercial, is often a person's most significant and priciest asset. Entering into a contract to buy or sell a real estate property is much more than just filling in the missing blanks on the printed contract. It's wise to hire a lawyer to prepare or review the offer to purchase real estate and take full advantage of his legal expertise. With Mark Sheblo, you will gain an attorney with over 26 years of legal practice and one who has helped thousands of clients to buy or sell their homes or investment property. We will safeguard your interests and might be able to even negotiate a better bargain than a client without proper legal counsel ever could. Oftentimes, a prospective buyer will submit an offer without first consulting an attorney, not realizing that once the offer is accepted by the seller, it becomes a binding contract. And the terms of that contract are not easy to be changed afterwards. Likewise, as a seller, you too will benefit from first consulting an attorney before signing. Feel free to call us for consultation at the law offices of Mark Sheblo at 773-775-5050. Our website is sheblolawoffice.com. Mark Sheblo can be reached 6 days a week at 773-775-5050, Monday through Saturday, located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's attorney Mark Sheblo, 773-775-5050.
All right, back on Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk with Miss Lynn Franco. Before we get back to Miss Lynn Franco, I would like to say that this is a great book by David J. Shistokis. Sorry, David. I'm going to get that name down. David J. Shistokis. And this is called Creating the Declaration of Independence. Dave crafts such a great story. Dave weaves together the events leading up to the creation of one of our sacred founding documents. He places the reader in the midst of the actions and thoughts of the founders and provides a worm's-eye view of the events that took place in the days leading up to July 4th, 1776. It's a great book. I suggest it if you have some reading time. Creating the Declaration of Independence. It's a good book. Back with Miss Lynn Franco. Our phone number is 877-711-5611, 877-711-5611. Lynn, you raised a great point. Chicago public school system, it's, well, in layman's terms, it stinks. Reading levels is below fourth grade. That's what I see all across the board. What can we do to improve that? Lynn, are you there?
Yes, I'm still here. We need more conservatives on the school boards. And also we to attend the school meetings. I'm not even sure if they still have, maybe they don't call them PTA meetings, or maybe they still do, but we have to attend these meetings, and then we need to attend a different neighborhood meetings, for example. Our area called Mary Nook, and we have our, I would say, bi-monthly, every 2 months a meeting. And there are a lot of retired professionals there, especially if people from the Board of Education. And I often bring that up to them, and they get a little shameful or sheepish. They won't disagree with what I've said, and with what I said. Teachers have abandoned the children, and that these black educators have abandoned the children, and that our parents who came up from the South during the Great Migration for the great opportunities that the North. This is one of the most important and vital opportunities that the North provided, and that is a good education system. And Chicago had great public schools. For example, I often talk about the trades, because having a trade, whether it be welding, pipe fitting, plumbing, sheet working, these trades are worth their weight in gold. Because when you have a trade anywhere around the world, as I have done, I basically have a trade. I would say, when I came out, I attended private schools. And but some of the public schools were just as good as the privates because they had excellent teachers back then. And I would say the 60s, the 70s, the 50s. They had teachers who were dedicated, who had a calling, not teachers who just want to work, who they think the work is only supposed to last a few hours a day and you get benefits, which is what the teachers union has more or less fought for successfully over the past few decades, that the teachers kept getting higher wages. Okay, that meant that the union dues would be higher. And then also, and the teachers were always saying smaller classes. Well, they got, in fact, they got it so much of what they wanted that some schools didn't have any classrooms. And that's why when Ron Emanuel became president, he closed up some of those public schools.
Right, and he did charter schools, right? Something like that?
Well, the charter schools, thank God that we have that.
Right.
But then the Board of Education is even going for them. For this wonderful charter school that was in Inglewood, this charter school for boys. There was let me see. I think there was a chain of these schools. The name will come back to me. But they were trying to close that one down. This charter school was in the old Inglewood High School building.
Okay.
And what is the name of that school? The black boys that were graduating, they could read well. They were reading at that level. They were all off to college at what they wanted to do. And nowadays, I kind of noticed when I came back from living in the Middle East, from working, in the Middle East, how bad the English language was spoken among young people and even people 40. And I was wondering, why is that? And then they weren't even being taught cursive writing. The Democrats have really they've waged a war of silence. They have stealthily come to invaded our schools and our cities with rot. And what can I say, with despair? And they sit up and then they turn around and blame white man, or come up with these fake of CRT or what diversity and inclusion. Oh boy, and people fall for that.
Right.
I mean, so-called people fall for that.
Right.
There's, like the old saying goes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And then there's something to that. CVS done by these schools, they not only did they provide trade and education in the trade, you also had your academic classes, your geography, history, math, science, and And now, how can these inner city children learn a foreign language when they can speak English and they don't know about the sentence structure? And this angers me. And this particular note, fighting for the trade, that was my platform when I was running for Cook County Commissioner in the 4th Congressional District last year, and also when I tried to get on the ballot for Congress. But I didn't get any help from Chicago Republican Party or the state party or the Cook County Party. No.
That's a shame. That's a shame. Why do you think they didn't help you? The Chicago GOP, your own party.
Because I'm beginning to think that is their mission to keep good Republican states from office, and in order to let the Democratic Party be the ruling party, the one party in this state.
And
in this city and state.
And that's true. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be hearing me saying this a lot on the show. Segvich is right. We're having Democrats infiltrating double agents infiltrating the Chicago GOP. Would you say that's correct, Lynn?
Well, from what I have seen, I can't dispute it.
There you go.
From what I've seen, I can't dispute it. How is it possible? How is it possible that when there's a good candidate right in front of your eyes, like myself, and I don't get the support? What are they there for? And I can't believe anything else but that. When I see it, I'm not just talking about myself. They can, like I said, they can find the good people out, but they have one right in front of them with me. So what's the excuse with not supporting me?
There's so many issues with. You're right, Lynn. Sorry to cut you off, but there's so many issues with the Chicago GOP, and a lot of people out there just don't know. They're still forming. They're trying to go a certain route. What they're trying to do is they're trying to win over moderate Democrats. But the fact is, you have so many conservative voters out there. We're called the sleeping majority. You know what I mean? We're the sleeping giant. There's a lot of Republicans out there that haven't voted 10, 15, 20 years. I know them personally. You know why they don't vote? Because they don't like what's on the ballot. If you had a real conservative Republican Party, all these people will come out of the woodwork and they'll vote. It'll be a lot closer than people think. Instead of, pretending you're a Republican, how about you just be conservative? You know what I mean? At the end of the day.
Right.
And
exactly.
Yeah.
When I was campaigning in last fall, and I would be out in the south suburbs, Orland Park, Chicago Heights, Dalton, every place for the 4th Congressional District, and the people, they loved my message, but I didn't have enough money for airtime. But I got a few thousand votes, which was not bad for someone to, starting off like that.
That's real good.
And it was just a shame. But, I felt bad for the people who supported me, who wanted me to win. I feel bad for them. I felt like I let them down because I didn't win. And but this really, but it really came to light, especially in December 10th when they had the meeting, the state meeting, and there were grassroots people there. And then that's when, people are finally, these are the conservatives who do vote and who are aware of what's going on. And they were very, very angry that time after time we're getting less and less Republican people into these positions, into the state and city positions. And this is no longer an accident or bad luck. This is by design.
The 8th Ward, is there a lot of Republican voters in the 8th Ward in particular?
Not really, but there could be. And I found out when I speak with people, because a lot of the voters, they didn't realize that the Democratic Party had changed over the years, because it was as I said, this was a stealthy move by the Democrats to just take more and more of the values away. During the 60s, I would say, when people were Democrats, the 60s and they were Kennedy Democrats, the parties, the Democratic Party also had more values, but those are gone because so many because the Democrats, they promised everything to people to allow the people to fail in life, such as you don't have to be, if you have a baby, the government will take care of you. Even though I fought the people who fall for that line. But this is what the Democrats push. They push nothing but disintegration of this country. They push damage. They push crime. They encourage the destruction of our society.
Right.
And don't you think that when we have conservative people in office, they're supposed to know that, and they're supposed to see that, and they're supposed to get out the bullhorn and let the people know? No, not these people. Like, for example, I remember Steve Boulton saying when I would ask during about a candidate for the mayoral race, he would say, "Oh, this is nonpartisan," and so I'm stupid or something. That doesn't mean that you can't put in good candidates,
right,
who are conservative, Republican.
And might I add,
but
they were putting up signs for Paul. They were putting up signs for Paul Vallis in the 29th Ward. I know this because Walter is a Chicago GOP committeeman in the 29th Ward. He specifically said, I won't say the guy's name, the executive director was helping me putting up Paul Vallis signs in the 29th Ward. Paul Vallis is a Democrat. You know, he's a pro-abortion fanatic. He's a bozo. And the Chicago GOP was assisting Paul Vallis. It's true. It's 100% true. The Chicago GOP has an office. That office was used as Paul Vallis's campaign headquarters, one of them. It's true, 100%. And then you had Republicans coming out of the woodwork helping him, like Krupa. Krupa was one of them. So I don't understand why they're hiding behind the curtain, because it's already out there. There's a lot of rhinos in the Chicago GOP, and they need to get out. From what I heard, Steve Boulton, his ward is 32nd, but was remapped to 27. Maybe we should get someone to go against Boulton and some of the other rhinos this coming election. What do you think about that, Lynn?
I'm all for that. Because I don't want our party to just disappear.
Right.
I don't want Chicago and America to disappear, but it will if conservatives wake up and see what's going on and smell the coffee.
Amen.
Because for one thing, not only Paul Vallis, but oftentimes these so-called Republicans, who basically are rhinos, they back Willie Wilson as well, because he would pass out money. You know, to me, it's also about who gives, and these are a lot of people, up in the Northwest side, so-called conservatives in the Northwest side. They often Wilson because he comes up, we know how Willie Wilson operates. He passes out a lot of money.
Right.
And even that didn't work for him.
He did actually a lot worse than the one before that. He had only 9% voted for him, and before that was 10%. So, right.
Yeah. Well, but we need good, solid conservatives, and we need some good Republicans. I mean, I've always that Illinois was a conservative state. This is the feeling that I had over the last 30 that I have really been aware of politics and have matured into how things run, even when I was living abroad in Germany.
Right.
I often considered Illinois to be basically conservative because our values, our faith, family, and doing for yourself, small government. This is how societies thrive and become rich.
Right.
You can't become rich with Democrats in rule. You become poor. You obsolete.
I agree.
They have opened up our borders to replace a lot of Americans with third and fourth and fifth world people. I mean, it's disgusting.
I hear you. And that being said, we're going to go to commercial break. It's getting heated up here. We'll accept any callers. Our phone number is 877-711-5611 on Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk. Thank you.
Producing your own podcast can be frustrating.
Test 1, 2.
Which is why I'm glad to be introducing the brand new multi-format network. We offer digital media, podcasting, and radio broadcasting professional standard production and syndication. Whether you're looking to bolster and polish your business presentations for a Zoom interview, host your podcast, or push your nationally syndicated radio broadcast to a satellite, we can facilitate your every need. So when you're ready to look, sound, and be professional, don't just try to do it yourself. Contact the professionals at the new multi-format network, the Multi-Format Network. From professional syndication to personal vindication, we've got your back. Shoot us an email, mfngeneralmanager@gmail.com. mfngeneralmanager@gmail.com.
Hello, radio listeners. Welcome to WCGO 1590 AM or 95.9 FM. We have a new conservative show on the airwaves, and it's called Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk. I'm your co-host, Pat Gibbons. That being said, I'm going to pass the mic on to my friend and co-host, Wally. Hey, Wally, what do you hear? What do you say?
Hey, how's everyone doing today? We're just going to talk about the future about Chicago crime and the veterans in Chicago.
Tune in Mondays and Tuesdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Conservative Talk Radio with Pat and Wally. Should be a great show. We look forward to your engagement. We'll be talking about safety issues in the city of Chicago, how our veterans need help and assistance, better needed care. And also, too, very importantly, we are going to talk about the Chicago mayor that needs to be called out. I'm Pat.
I'm Wally.
And this is Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk. Tune in to Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk on Mondays and Tuesdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. starting June 5th.
It is estimated that 1.5 million people are arrested for DUI every year in the United States. In Illinois alone, over 30,000 motorists are arrested for DUI. Driving under the influence of alcohol, marijuana, or drugs is one of the most complex of traffic charges on the books. Most people do not understand the complexities of the standardized field sobriety tests, which are horizontal gaze nystagmus, the walk and turn, and the one-leg stand test. Due to improper testing procedures, many people are wrongfully charged with DUI. Whether you have been charged with a DUI or an attorney handling DUI cases, the book DUIs Decoded explains the proper procedures for standardized field sobriety testing, breathalyzer testing, and the penalties in Illinois for driving under the influence.
Real estate, be it residential or commercial, is often a person's most significant and priciest asset. Entering into a contract to buy or sell a real estate property is much more than just filling in the missing blanks on the printed contract. It's wise to hire a lawyer to prepare or review the offer to purchase real estate and take full advantage of his legal expertise. With Mark Sheblow, you will gain an attorney with over 26 years of legal practice and one who has helped thousands of clients to buy or sell their homes or investment property. We will safeguard your interests and might be able to even negotiate a better bargain than a client without proper legal counsel ever could. Oftentimes, a prospective buyer will submit an offer without first consulting an attorney, not realizing that once the offer is accepted by the seller, it becomes a binding contract, and the terms of that contract are not easy to be changed afterwards. Likewise, as a seller, you too will benefit from first consulting an attorney before signing. Feel free to call us for consultation at the law offices of Mark Sheblow at 773-775-5050. Our website is sheblowlawoffice.com. Mark Sheblow can be reached 6 days a week at 773-775-5050, Monday through Saturday, located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's attorney Mark Sheblow, 773-775-5050.
Welcome back to the Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk on WCGO 1590 AM or 95.9 FM. We would love to have a caller. Our phone number is 877-711-5611. Again, 877-711-5611. I'm giving a big suggestion out here. It was very close to July 4th, right? So this is a great book. It's called Creating the Declaration of Independence by David J. Shistokis. I'm going to get that name down. Shistokis. Dave crafts such a great story. Dave weaves together the events leading up to the creation of one of our sacred founding documents. He places the reader in the midst of the actions and thoughts of the founders and provides a worm's eye view of the events that took place in the days leading up to July 4th, 1776. I'm telling you, folks, this is a good book. Creating the Declaration of Independence by David J. Shistokis. All right. That being said, we're back with our guest, Lynn Franco. Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Hey, so getting back to what you were saying before the commercial break, what can we do to get very good conservative candidates on board?
I'm thinking that we need to start having some mild sort of rallies when I say mild, I mean, when you think of rallies, you think of something big, you think of something, a lot of speakers. I'm thinking a series of events in which we start inviting people, conservative people, and conservative people, and just any good citizen, because I think that you may find that there are some people that have been voting Democrat in the past and who now are beginning to wake up and say, hey, something isn't right. Mm-hmm. You know, anyone can change the party, really. You know, as I said, coming up as a young adult, you know, everyone loved John F. Kennedy. I mean, this was after he passed, of course, when I was, you know, a young adult. And people just thought, you know, that most Americans were patriotic. They thought, okay, Richard Nixon had more or less the party with his antics. But what someone said on Fox News the other day, what Richard Nixon did is nothing in comparison to what Joe Biden and his family, what they've done to the American people. The crimes and as far as selling out the country to China and Russia.
Right.
So I always had, I didn't realize it at the time, but my views were conservative. And I really began to realize that I was a Republican. It might have been a bit later, but I would say during the 90s. And I'm thinking there are other people out there who think like me. It's just that so many blacks have been so conditioned and so brainwashed to hate Republicans. You know, I was last Thursday at and so I was talking to the people standing near me on the little round table where I was standing and having my drinks and snacks. And there was this black man. So, and the big elephant in the room nowadays, wherever you go in Chicago, in my opinion, is crime. Mm. You can't get away from it. The news, oh my God. So I was talking, I mentioned to this black man, I said, this crime is just too much. I mean, when you're a pedestrian across the street, you better look, your head is going to be swiveling just like a top. We're trying to make sure that nothing is coming up on you, no vehicles coming up on you. So I was talking to this man about this horrible crime going on in the and he said, oh, that's due to racism 400 years ago. I said, are you crazy? I mean, I had to say that because it just got to me. I said, so what do you mean? These people don't even know anything about Jim Crow. They can't read. The teachers aren't even teaching them. I said, my parents and all kind of parents and myself, we live good lives. How is it that thinking about something 400 years ago kept them back? This is the thing. There are a lot of decent, very decent black men and women out there, but especially with black men, they are so of the way that these younger black men behave, the crime, the way they look and dress, and their attitude, their ignorance, and their criminal mind, their stupidity. That this shames a lot of black men, and so they stick their heads in the ground like ostriches by saying, "Oh well, it's about racism." I said, "Listen, come on." I said, look at the people who you put in office. I said, look at these state's attorneys who are sponsored. They don't know. See, I know about these things, and I explain to them how these state's attorneys have been given large sums of money from George Soros's Open Society when they're running for office, but that money is for them to keep from being incarcerated and to keep them on the streets. And I try to explain this to people, but it's hard for them to really grasp that. But so I try and explain it to them gradually. But the thing is, what I try to explain to them, you have to be honest and you have to tell the truth. When Donald Trump was the president, he was building a wall. We were using our own natural resources. That's why I said, why do you think you're just $2 and something a gallon as opposed to what it is today? Mm-hmm. I explained a lot of things to them, but they have been so. I guess the fear of God has been put in them by these horrible Democrats, that they feel that the Republican Party is a party full of racist white people. And I try and tell them, It's time for you to start thinking for yourself and look at what's going on around you, and stop blaming people. I said, on the one hand, you want to be. On the other hand, you're saying you're being held down. I said, what is it? Take it. Make a choice.
It's true. Cost of living is up. I was going to say cost of living is through the roof. Gas is through the roof. Prices, groceries is through the roof.
Crime is through the roof.
Right. And that's the Democratic way.
Crime is, yes, and I'm trying to understand what I was seeing when I would be on the bus and ride past the police station and saw all these strange sitting outside. And I was wondering what's going on. I thought maybe there were so many people inside trying to get their chance at whatever, either bailing someone out or being arraigned. And I thought that it had spilled onto the streets until I realized, oh my God, these are the illegals. And so this man, this black man I was talking to at this event last week. Mm-hmm. Now, first of all, this country was stolen by the Indians. I said, what do you mean stolen by the Indians? What did they steal? The teepees? I said, stop saying that. I said, people have migrated all through life, through the years, through history, sometimes to make sure that the animals are better fed or that they can plant crops and different things. I said, but nowadays, you have borders. I said, and people, if you want to immigrate, you have to do it the right way. You have to come in legally. And I've been told by other people, even by policemen, that illegals, that drug dealers are giving illegals jobs selling drugs. So I mentioned that to this man. He was saying, oh, well, if I wanted to go to a place to improve the living for my families, I would do it. I said, oh, so now you say it's okay for them to come and improve their lives, but you're going to put down the coming from Europe, who whole new civilization and a whole new world to the world, mm-hmm. and where people have profited. I said, tell me one country that has super this, super that, super that, and where athletes make exorbitant salaries. Or, I mean, Chicago used to have 5 black-owned banks during the 60s and 70s and 80s. I explained to these people. They still don't want to hear. Mm. But I'm not going to give up. But it's a hard sell, I can tell you.
Yeah. The drugs is through the roof coming into Chicago, and gangs there's simply an infestation of gangs. It's sick. The crime is through the roof. This past weekend, Lynn, we had 29 shot, 8 dead. I mean, actually, that's an improvement from Father's Day weekend with over 60 shot and like 11 killed. And it seems like this mayor has no plan. What's that?
Or like it's an improvement over called Juneteenth holiday.
There you go.
Shooting jazz during that weekend.
Right. And this mayor, he simply does not have a plan. He doesn't have a clue. I have no idea how this man got elected. I'm still trying to think this over.
Because because people are just asleep. Mm-hmm. I don't know if a lot of these voters just sit and say, well, I'm just going to vote and pray that he's the right one, instead of doing their homework. I try and talk to them all the time. They know that this guy. When this Johnson guy is saying that he's going to raise taxes and this, I said, why would you vote for someone like that? They have no answer. Because there is no answer. That's just what you call, here, I'm going to give you my person. You do what you think is right with it. This is the mentality. Yet these fake people get on the news day and night and talk about racism. It's a battle. It's an uphill. It's a slippery climb to pull these people, the average voter in America and in these large cities, New York, Chicago, Philadelphia. It's an uphill climb to make these people really admit that voting Democrat nowadays is not the same, and that to read your history and see that the conservatives are not the enemies of American people, and are not the enemies of men and women.
What's your vision of the future?
I preach this. Excuse me?
What's your vision of the future?
My vision is that we will win will prevail, but you're going to have we're going to have to spend a lot of time rebuilding because the Democrats have done a lot of damage. It's going to take a while, and the die-hard American, as myself and you, have to stay in there and keep on, trying to influence them the right thing to do. But first of all, the Republican Party has to be remade in Illinois and Chicago. We have to get rid of these horrible people and contributing to the destruction of Chicago.
One step at a time, that's for sure.
Steve Boulton does not need that seat, and Sean Morrison, the head of the Cook County, I'm very disappointed with him too. He doesn't need that seat. Because Morrison does the appointing. The Chicago chair brings the candidates the Cook County chair for appointment.
Okay.
Now, why is it that they aren't looking and trying to find better people? I mean, there in Cook County, I'm sure there are a lot of great conservatives out there in Payless and all of these areas. And it's time for those people to start thinking, well, something is wrong. Why is it that we are not getting good, solid Republican candidates and all?
Well, I can kind of answer that. I think what they're trying to do is they're putting semi-Republican, I call them rhinos, moderates inside these positions to win over certain demographics. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
And it's a shame. And it's a big fraud. It's a fake towards the people. And we know who the rhinos are within the system. If we had another hour, we can list the names. But Bolton's the big one, that's for sure.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, it's sad, it's awful. But that's a problem that can be solved. Often I've spoken many times at these meetings, but I don't get a lot of help from the other committeemen. And now Wally was, to want to work with me and listen, but there needs to be more. But you have people committeemen who only want a title. And I'm thinking they don't even know what the title is or what it means. But what about doing something for your city and for your area?
Amen. One of the biggest responsibilities for a committeewoman is to bring the vote out. And you look at their letters when they send it out to the voters. I don't see it. I mean, in my 31st ward, I'm running for GOP committeeman, and hopefully I get it. But the Chicago GOP don't like me so much, and I think they know why, because I'm exposing the rhinos within the Chicago GOP. But I look at the letters from these different committeemen and committeewomen, and they don't say anything about bringing out the vote. I think that's a big problem in by itself, especially when the last mayoral turnout was like 33%,
And I've often said I've often spoken at different meetings, and when Chris Cleveland was in charge, and even later with Steve Boulton, we need candidates with great personalities.
Amen.
You have to have a good candidate. Also has to be a good salesperson.
Amen. And you're a great personality, and we welcome you back to the show, Lynn.
Okay, it was wonderful being here. Thank you so much for having me, Patrick.
Thank you.
Wally.
Thank you, sweetheart. That being said, Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk will be back next week with a couple more special guests. We look forward to your engagement. Thank you.
WCGO 1590 AM, W240EH 95.9 FM, Evanston, Chicago.